Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Entertainment Headquarters, and welcome to the Retro Classic Movie Show, my segment on the channel dedicated to all retro movies, anywhere from the 1970s up to the early 2000s. And of course, I am joined tonight, this evening, by my co-host, Mr. DJ Anubis of the Metal Tavern Radio.
Howdy, howdy.
Yes, howdy. And of course, we have two fantastic guests that wanted to join us this evening. We have from Jedi Granville Productions, Mr. Jedi Granville himself. And then, of course, Anthony Jordan of Anthony Jordan's Movies and Gaming. Mm-hmm. So, how this works, if you're unfamiliar, is I once a month will pick a movie, and then the following month my good co-host Mr. DJ Anubis will pick the other movie. So this month was his pick, and before we talk about it, hello Mr. Jake Hall.
There he is.
Thank you for watching. So your pick was none other than this classic by Steven Seagal, Under Siege. Yeah. So, Mr. DJ Anubis, what made you pick Under Siege?
It is one of those films that I really like. I like actually a lot of the early Seagal films. You know, we can laugh and poke fun at the guy himself, the actor, and all that, and his problems that he's run into the course of his career in life. But as far as those early films, man, he was fire. You know, that was during the prime time of all the action heroes, Schwarzenegger, Stallone, Jean-Claude Van Damme, and so on. So ever since I saw Above the Law, I was like, you know, I was on board with the Steven Seagal train. And Under Siege, you know, he kept getting bigger and bigger. And so by the time Under Siege came out, like that was like a big deal. It had like a huge cast. A lot of great actors in there, and just was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this film as well. This was only probably, yeah, like for me, there's probably only about 3 or 4 of these movies that I can constantly watch, and this is one of them. It's a fun movie. Can you remember your first time ever seeing Under Siege, DJ Lewis?
Oh, yeah. I went into the theaters. Again, I probably had seen a lot of his films in the theaters aside from Above the Law. I think I saw that afterward. But, like I said, by the time I had seen the other films, you know, I was on that bus, you know, the Seagal bus, and watched pretty much anything that came out that he was putting out. So I just went to the theaters and enjoyed it. And of course, I knew who Erica Leniak was as the Playboy Playmate, so that was a lot of fun too. Wish I had that cake.
Right. There you go. You wouldn't want that cake if I popped out.
All right.
No,
we would not.
But
Neko would. She said she would.
That's because she's my girl.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, Mr. Jedi Granville, can you remember your first time seeing Under Siege?
Oh, God. Well, just like Anubis, I saw this. I had the pleasure of seeing this in the theatrical run. And this was actually my second Steven Seagal film that I saw in the theater. The other one was Marked for Death, which is actually relatively underrated.
Yep.
Steven Seagal film. I mean, some people will give it a try, but no, I saw it in the theater, and I was actually pleasantly surprised not by Steven Seagal himself. I mean, true enough, he's going to do his Steven Seagal-isms, but how many people of the character? Yeah, look, all he's doing is like throwing him to the side, you know, twisting him around. He's doing all that, but the characters in the movie. Even though Erica Leniak's in here too, and she shows off her prized possessions, it's actually gratifying knowing that it's like, hey, even though we see Steven Seagal, he's not invincible. I mean, he's prone to be this guy like he's Superman, but it's like, no, dude, you're gonna get yourself killed yourself, you know. So, but it was like I said, pretty decent for what it is, especially at that time.
Anthony Jordan, can you remember your first time seeing Under Siege?
I'd say around 2009. My mom borrowed the DVD from a neighbor, and I'm like, "What are you doing? You don't like Steven Seagal?" And she's like, "No, I actually like this one." And I sat down and watched it, and I'm like, "Yeah, this is actually a pretty fun little film." And I think a lot of that was more due to the supporting cast, especially Tommy Lee Jones and Gary Busey.
Yeah. Gary Busey, he is for me one of the go-to actors of like the early 80s, like 80s to 90s, especially in comedy. It's not comedy, action films. We've already done Predator. The Predator scene he was in Predator 2 was fantastic in that. Silver Bullet, he was fantastic in that.
That was probably his best performance.
Yeah, and also we did Point Break.
Yes.
He was brilliant in that. So he's like the go-to of that time, in my opinion. But let's get cracking and talk a little bit about Under Siege. So, Under Siege is a 1992 action thriller film directed by Andrew Davies and written by J.F. Lawton. It stars Steven Seagal, who also produced the film, Tommy Lee Jones, Gary Busey, and Erica Eleniak. How do you say her surname?
Eleniak, yeah.
So Erica Eleniak. Seagal plays Casey Ryback, a former Navy SEAL who must fend off a group of mercenaries after they commandeer the USS Navy battleship Missouri. And the film was made on a budget of $30 million, and it made $156.6 million, which for a $30 million budget isn't bad.
No.
So, and something I never realized, this film was nominated for 2 Oscars. For, I think it was production and set design or something. It was
Actually, it was sound and sound editing. And I had to bring this up too. I must have been suffering from a Mandela effect, because I swore I thought Tommy Lee Jones was nominated for supporting actor in this film, but he wasn't. It was for The Fugitive. So I was like, that's stupid on me. But yeah.
So for me, fair dues. It deserves its praise. But as you know, Ryback, he's just a cook.
He's just a cook.
He's just a cook. So the film starts off where he's obviously on the US Missouri. I think it's a ship that's about to get decommissioned, and it's still got like all its weaponry aboard and other, things are attached to it. And Ryback's on this ship as the chef, because the captain of the ship, or him, he's a real fan of his. He enjoys his food. He's he's the leader. He's like the general, the commanding officer on the ship.
Right.
Obviously, he's having a surprise party being planned in his honor. Then you have, of course, our good friend, Mr. Gary Busey.
Commander Krill.
Yes, Commander Krill, who has a big up his ass. He's basically somebody who he's frustrated, he's angry, he's his commanding officer isn't a fan of his and believes that he's very aggressive to the other officers on board. And
do I look like I need a psych evaluation?
Right. He looks good. It's safe to assume that he's got a few screws missing with this guy, and it's kind of funny how he shares that enthusiasm with the other character, which is Tommy Lee Jones's character.
That was probably the funniest part in the film. Do I look like I need a psych evaluation? Not at all.
Yeah.
Why he's sitting there dressed as a woman.
Yeah.
And so, as you know, because of his attitude and because he's trying to what you believe at the beginning of the film, he's trying to improve himself, or he's just trying to do his duty on board. But then obviously there's atmosphere between him and Ryback. the other officers aren't really a fan of his. But then he's trying to plan this party for, obviously, the commanding officer. And that's when, obviously, you see the news headline on the television how the ship's going to get decommissioned when it arrives in port.
Yeah.
And this is when, the next thing is this party's getting planned. You've got the engineers, you've got all the, the crew of the ship just, enjoying themselves. When all of a sudden a helicopter arrives, but the commanding officer, figures out that something's up.
Yeah.
And that's when Gary Busey's character has to tell him, "Oh, I've got a surprise party planned for you." And when the aircraft lands and the helicopter lands, on board is Mr. Tommy Lee Jones.
Mm-hmm. Very eccentric character, we must say.
Yeah, very eccentric, but he does it so well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he arrives, and then of course you do have other people arrive, as we all know. We have your friend arrives,
Miss July.
Yes.
Can't leave out.
1989.
And you can't leave out Colin Meaney.
Oh no, that's what I was gonna say. Yes,
I was just about to bring Colin Meaney up.
Chief O'Brien.
I was surprised when I saw him in this picture. I was like, "Oh my God, O'Brien's in here!" It's like that's crazy.
Yeah. He's also great in Con Air. Like he is.
I was going to say Con Air. He's brilliant in.
Yeah.
And don't forget, I think it's Die Hard 2. He plays
Two. I was about to say that. Thank you. I was going to say
the pilot of the plane that crashes.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to take this back, I think the Die Hard 3 script, they were writing it to take place on a ship, but because this came out, they changed it.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of funny because I was thinking that as this crew is like on the helicopter, it's almost heir apparent to the truck in Die Hard 1 that's coming and get into the dock space.
Right. Well, let's just address the elephant in the room quickly with this one, because we already know this was nothing more than a Die Hard wannabe that turned out to be very successful. This, Speed, Passenger 57, others, that's what this is. It's nothing but a wannabe, but it's a wannabe that took on a life of its own. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you bring up Speed. Like, don't get me wrong, I like that movie, but if I had to choose this or Speed, I'm probably gonna put this in.
Oh yeah.
Big Bad Wolf.
Oh, it's a big man.
Buddy.
But obviously, as the party begins, you do have, you'd have all the band arrives. You've got Tommy Lee Jones, who's acting like I guess not a singer, but he's like the entertainer. Comes across like he's got like a hippified shirt on. He's like a crooner. The band's playing, and then obviously you see Gary Busey's character, Creel, comes in dressed as a lady, dances around, and he goes, "I'm gonna go and get the captain," and goes upstairs, and he's with Colin Meaney's character, who's very serious in the nice suit, and he's carrying the food to go into the captain's chambers. And then suddenly you have Tommy Lee Jones, who goes, "Who is the most senior officer on the floor right now?" And it's like the communications officer, who's like the third in command. And he just turns and he blows him away. Boom.
Like, bam. It's like, all right.
Since we've mentioned Colin Meaney, it's a shame he never got to play a Bond villain.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a series where he does play a really good role. It's a series called Hell. I think it's called Hell on Wheels. Don't know if you've ever seen that. He's like one of the lead characters in that. It's about basically the Pacific Railway and how it was developed and built. It's a Western type show, and it's a really good show. I think you would really like that, Anthony.
Yeah, I remember seeing AMC advertise for it all the time, and it looked good, but I just never sat down and watched it.
Well, if you get a chance, check out Hell on Wheels, because even my dad likes that, because he likes anything that's like a period piece. and stuff like that. So Colin Meaney does a fantastic job in that. So basically what happens next is basically Tommy Lee Jones' men who are playing as the band suddenly they take all the crew and they place them, like they lock them all up. There's mercenaries flat like coming down the ship and capturing the other shipmates. And that is when I think he's called, is it Strackus he's called? He's like a former CIA
Operative,
agent who's become like disillusioned with the world and disillusioned with like order. And
I think his name is Stranix.
Stranix,
yes. He's like so disillusioned with what's happened. And obviously Steven Seagal's character Ryback had a confrontation with Gary Busey's character Krill, and he punched him and he locked him up in the meat locker. And he gets like this young, naive naval officer to watch over him who's so like lackluster. He's like,
they're party poppers.
Yes.
I can remember watching that, and my first thought was, all right, this character is going to kind of be a sidekick to him because it feels like that's what they're setting it up to be, but nope.
Well, I thought that when I first seen this, I thought he was going to be like the sidekick, like his little, and help him out. But then, obviously, that's not what happened. The ship gets taken over. They're planning something to have like this guy who's like the glasses on, who's good at doing all the wiring and taking over the weapons that are the nuclear warheads that are on the ship. And
he's an egghead. Yeah, basically.
He's basically like an expert, with the ship control system, and like getting like the codes for the nukes and stuff like that. He's like a hacker, something like that, a communications hacker expert. So he basically takes over controlling the controls on the ship and figuring out getting the codes for these warheads.
Tomahawk.
Ryback then breaks free.
But look. I gotta address another elephant with this. He's locked up.
Mm-hmm.
Why the fuck would the guys who could have killed them? Why would you open up the damn Reaper in the first place?
Exactly.
Why would you? I've always had a problem with this. Watching this, I've watched this movie dozens of times, millions of times, and that's the antidote right there that makes me think to myself, of course you wouldn't have a movie, but if you're smart, don't open the fucking door. Do not open the door. And they go spraying the bullets in there, killing the eggs, killing the meat, all this stuff. And it's like, wow, dude. And then he gets out and it's like, wow, you guys are going to be dead in a few seconds. It's like, why can't you just lock up?
Here's Jedi, it's just like Austin Powers, though. You need those inept villains.
Yeah, right.
They should have.
You've always got the smart villains, and you've always got the dumb ones. Mm-hmm. That's why they're called the minions.
Yeah,
that's why, like,
they should have done was all those freezers have an emergency, like, escape button on the inside to pop it off in case you get sealed in. They should have just had it where Gary Busey's character didn't know about it and shut the door. And then once he realizes something's wrong, he hits the button and just gets out himself.
But we do get some, there is some decent action with Steven Seagal in this, where he does fight a few people with his night skills. But obviously, he then breaks out. After he breaks out, he starts looking around the ship, and that's when he comes across a lovely lady. And I think
I think if he didn't kick that cake, would she have come out? Because she was knocked out for a while.
Mm-hmm. But when she did come out, we had a pretty good show.
Oh yeah.
Enough of that. I don't want me channel getting banned off YouTube for showing
If you're to
ads.
believe certain stories behind the scenes, Steven Seagal supposedly kept perving on her, and Gary Busey kept standing up for her. And just how terrifying of a situation are you in when Gary Busey is the hero of the story?
Right.
Yeah, like I did hear there were some like controversial behind the scenes stories
Which
on this
actually bled into the second film because there was a point Gary Busey was signed on to come back, and he had it in his contract where they pay him whether he's in the movie or not. And because of the bad blood, Steven Seagal got him kicked out of the movie, but because of the contract, he still got paid.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. And technically, that could have worked with bringing him back because even though you see what happens later on in the film, you don't actually see a body.
True. That's true. I mean, what happens? Yes, we see this devastation, but it's like we don't see exactly. You know, you get. But the thing about that is, when you do see what happens, you know, you see this flash of light, and you feel like, well, he's gone, but that's just a misdirect, you know. So it could be, that could be the case.
Since you're away, Jedi, one more time just for you to put a smile on your face.
Yes, thank you. That brings look. Let me just say that brought a lot of you're right.
When I got the VHS of that, dude, I paused on that so much.
Oh, I paused on that so many times. I'm not gonna lie. Yes.
Let's bring it out on 4K so I can pause.
Good Lord, yes, please. I would love them to do that. You know.
But since you're back, Jedi, would you like to continue the story? So up to the point where he's broke out the freezer and he's found her in the cake.
Okay. Well, like I say, he's found her in the cake, pretty much, you know. And that's something that kind of drew me off watching this. It's like, okay, you're that drug, but it's like you're still gonna pop out. It's like you're gonna perform, you know. It's like, but we gotta keep with the story. He tells her, he's like, "Yo, stop them! I mean, turn off the music," or how he says it, you know. Grabs her, takes her to the room, to this room, you know, and pretty much explains to her that, you know, or ask her the question, "Who are these guys? Who are the?" And she asks, she tells him like it's like 30 plus the however many it was, and he pretty much asked her because she's asking him. He's asking her all these questions, but then when she answers her in a kind of a very incoherent kind of way, he just bursts out and says, "What kind of babbling bullshit is this?" You know, because he's like, "You ain't giving me nothing. All you just saying is a lot of words, and it's like it doesn't make any sense." But
he's like, "Are you some sort of special forces guy?" He's like, "Well, I'm just a guy." She's like, "Oh my God, we're dead."
And that's in the trailer too, you know. But as this is going on, you know, we cut back to this establishment which has certain heads of state wondering about, you know, what's going on with the ship being, you know, hijacked and everything. And one of the guys was actually over Stranex. I forget what his name is in the movie, but he is pretty much.
He was in Rapid Fire with Brandon Lee. I forget his name.
I forget what his name is, but
I remember his face from.
Oh, is it Nick Mancuso?
I think it is. Yeah. In fact, we ought to do a talk about that too if we get a chance to talk about Rapid Fire. But anyway, no, he pretty much is being drilled by the general, asking, "Who is this guy that you got sent, you know, to do whatever?" And he pretty much tells him that he's a special operative that we send out, but he's somebody. And and at the time when I watched this, I kind of felt like that couldn't be real, that somebody who's working for the so-called good guys would turn like that. But then you realize, like, no, you've had many people in life do that. They've actually turned against, they turn basically to be like Anakin Skywalker. They turn to the dark side because, as Kevin mentioned, they lost their faith in certain things, and Stranex is one of them. So when Stranex gives the people in the round room what he wants, he's pretty much saying, "I want this amount of money, or I'm going to light up Hollywood." Well, he didn't say that. He just he's just threatening them with the tomahawks that he has, and he tells them that he has control over the tomahawks and everything else on the ship. And when he mentions this, he tells the guy, that it was over him. He says, like, remember, what was it called that he said? Remember Project Holiday, whatever it was called. Sends him
Operation Spit Break.
Spit Break, yes. Send him to do this. He tells him that he was supposed to do this kind of job, but then when he notices that he was off reservation, he tells like, no, he tells the general, it's like, well, 2 months or 2 weeks ago, I got someone sent. He sent these guys.
It was 2 weeks after it was canceled.
Yes, and sent these guys to counsel him. And he's like, I sent these two guys fourth thumb, how he said it, to him in the package. I'm like, okay, that's pretty hardcore there.
Yeah, it was kind of like the Bourne Identity. They were just trying to eradicate Stranex, but he was such a good operative that he beat them to the punch and took them out. So he's just a little pissed,
But you know what? It shows right there that this guy, how unhinged he is, and that shows right there. It's like, if you're gonna take me out for this kind of thing, it's like that shows right there how he doesn't believe in the system.
Mm-hmm.
We got a reflection on a lot of things nowadays. We don't believe in the system that's protecting us. So anyway, he pretty much tells him, and the guy tell him that, I don't know what your deal is, Stranix, but the war, the what you call is over, and the party's over. It's like, yeah, and he says like, yes, it kind of refers back to you, blah blah blah, all these things.
He goes, the '60s, the movements failed. He's like, yeah, hence the name movement. It goes a little and it stops, but this is a revolution, and you know how it gets its name because it keeps coming back.
Yeah, back into your face, and he says, well, welcome to the revolution. I'll be back in touch. He cuts him off. And he tells him, like, pretty much he's crazy. But then he does a little extra something. He says, the egghead, the glasses guy, he says, I got a missile aimed at their targeting system. And he said, fire with will. And I love how Tommy Lee Jones does this. The guy shoots the missile. It heads to the target. And he gets, and I have to take my glasses off for this. He gets on a chair looking at it. He does like, when the target hits, he says, bang, you're dead. It's like just straight like that. It's like that shows how cold and collective and focused he is. It shows right there. He's taken out there. He ain't, like I say, crazy, yes, but smart, very intelligent. And they say it's like he knows we can track his movements from Pearl. It's like, and they said they try to find out some kind of way to get him. Whatever. So doing all that, we go back to we're back and forth on the ship and everything, but we go back to where Steven Seagal's, Casey and Jordan, that the Arianiac's character, they go back and he tells us, he's going to hide her in the in a locker, and
this made me laugh so much. Like, she's trying to hide. She's, there's villains all over the fucking ship, and she's banging and shouting, and it's like, you're going to attract trouble.
It's like she didn't really care. That shit was
like, I don't like being alone. It's like, do you like being dead?
Yes. And you mentioned before the so-called sidekick. You think she is the guy who got killed, who was watching over right back at the refrigerator. You think like, okay, he's going to add on. She turns out to be the one following suit with him. So. We like I say, we just go through, and we notice that at the same time that someone told him that one of his henchmen, Stranek's henchmen, said 2 guys are missing. They haven't checked in yet. So he asked, like, who are these people? Who are these 2 individuals? Like, what's his name? And they said. And what's kind of funny is Brucey's character tells him, like, Krill's tells him, like, you should have sent more men. Again, you didn't have to send nobody if you kept the damn door shut. But anyway, they go back to the kitchen, and we had mentioned that he had set a bomb. Like a specialized bomb, and turned on the lights. And everything's good. Everything. and he sees Stranix knows immediately when he sees that one of the guys has been taken out very professionally. He's like, the man who did this is a professional. Who is this man? What's he doing on my ship? This is the banter we see through the villains. It's like he asked, like, your ship. You wouldn't be on this ship if it wasn't for me, you know. And
what I like about this, though, and I'll just say this, and I'll let you keep going, Jedi, is that I love how the writers wrote the plot because, you know, there's this, like you said, there's this banter between Krill and Stranix about why Stranix knows that the way that these guys were killed is very professionally, like really professionally, but Krill is convinced that Ryback is nothing more than a cook. So obviously later they get the file from the captain's personal safe, and it's been held back for a reason because obviously the captain knew Ryback from his past with, you know, his special forces or whatever. But I just love how they did the cat and mouse thing because Krill was so convinced that Ryback was nothing but trash.
Yeah.
Where the thing is, even though, so Krill for me, he's acting like he's pissed off with the world because he really wanted to be a good naval officer, but because he hasn't achieved the greatness or gotten to the heights he wanted to in his career, he's turned rogue. He's doing it out of spite. Where Tommy Lee Jones's character, for me, he's the smarter of the two villains because he's got this master plan, and he's the one who went, go and get me the file on this Ryback guy. He's the one who wanted to look into it because he knew, like you said, the way they were killed, that he wasn't just a cook, or he wasn't just a naval officer. There was something a lot more behind it. And when he finds out he's a Navy SEAL, he's like, I know what I'm working with now.
Because notice that moment where he pulls. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say the moment where he pulls that knife out of one of the henchmen's neck. He's like, this is not cooking knives, you know. He's like, and it slams the damn thing on the. He's like, and Krill says, you know, he got lucky.
There is a difference because Stranix, he pretends he's crazy. Like, he does have like a crazy moment towards the end, but he pretends he's crazy. But Krill actually is crazy because, you know, obviously you haven't got to the point yet. But when Krill decides he's going to sacrifice the men of the ship to get Ryback to come out, Strag's like, wow, like, you're going to kill your own crew. Krill's like, well, they didn't like me anyway. He's like, and then other guy says, well, they're going to love you now.
Yeah. That's good writing, though. I like that banner.
Yeah.
I was going to say that.
Really good writing.
Yeah.
Like, the writing on this film was good for it. Like, I think back in the day, some of the 90s era action films had some really tremendous action scenes in well written plot. And so I think what they did is they come up with the plot, and then they're trying to work out how big they are, how over the top they could make the action sequences around the story. And I think this is one of them films where they did a brilliant job, but it also still has like that. You have your mixtures of comedy elements in the story with the one-liners, but then it still has that serious, threatening tone of what potentially could happen.
You got to have some kind of groundness with certain stories like this. You know, I mean, it's like, yeah, we know it's a little over that. The same with the first Die Hard. Yeah, it's a little over the top, but they still keep it in a grounded way where it's like you hear the banter, you hear the dialogue, but it's keeping it at a level where would this actually happen if, you know, we would talk like this if this particular situation was going on. So it's like this. I don't hear
one of my favorite lines in this is when Stranix talking to Colomini's character, and he's like, "Why didn't you hire this guy? I don't know what his price would have been, but it would have been
worth it."
I like that, Boris. Yes. See this. But this just proves that yes, they got a what you call a monkey in the wrench in the works, and it's like, yeah, that's because some dumbass let him out the damn freezer. I'll keep going back to that. You know, I'll keep bringing that up. You know,
but obviously, the guys that are in the boardroom are trying to figure out what the hell they're up to, and then as the plot progresses, you think it's a lot more darker than it is, but And it technically is, but it's all about money and it's all about greed. Because then you discover what's happening is that Stranik and Krill, their idea is, like I see, Krill's freaking bitter as hell because he's not where he wants to be career-wise. And for whatever reason, Stranik's just angry with the world. So that plot is to take the Tomahawk missiles and then put them on an old Korean submarine and sell them on the black market to an American-hating country, which could potentially set World War III off.
That's
But
where
they
you see the Die Hard influence the most, is that it's just a heist.
Yeah, definitely. It's all about money, and because, like you say that happened in World War III, where to start, them two won't give a shit because they'll be on a desert island somewhere just living it up.
Because even
And
Krill even brings up the fact when he's asked by Stranik's like, "What you gonna do with your half of the money?" He's like, "I'll probably buy the presidency." You know, so it's like, okay, yeah, buy the presidency, which makes kind of sense because that's how most presidencies are done nowadays. You know.
But then it just shows you how bitter he is because he, like I say, he's a man who wanted to get as high as he could in his career. And he's frustrated that he hasn't, so he's turned rogue. So he would probably buy the presidency to get as high as he can. Even though he's doing it like illegally, he would probably do it because that's how egotistical he is.
And here's a crazy thing. I mean, I don't know how y'all feel about this, but some years later, a film kind of brings that up, doing that same kind of method, which was Broken Arrow, in which John Travolta's character actually, because he doesn't get the ranks or the stripes that he wants, he threatens, with bombs, nuclear warheads, just so he could get money out of it. But he really wanted, because he was bitter because he wanted to get a higher ranking, but he wasn't allowed it, So it's just it's funny how that cycle keeps continuing on, not about money, although that is about money. It's about where you want yourself in place of certain situations.
That's another good film, by the way. That's a very underrated film as well.
Yeah. I tell you what, as well. So obviously, Stranik then gets the file, like you've mentioned, discovers who Ryback is. He's this Navy SEAL who was basically taken under the wing of the captain of the ship because he had been demoted because of a fallout with another commanding officer. But the thing is, Stranik recognizes his name and starts to put the two that he has a connection with, and that he knows him from probably a past operation when he was a CIA agent. Because I can't remember, but they don't really delve in how they truly knew each other, did they?
They never say it. They kind of.
The way I took it was when Krill first mentions Ryback's name, you see Stranik's pause. And then when Stranik goes, "Who's that?" And then Krill's like, "Well, he's just a cook." So then I think Stranik may have thought, okay, this might be a different Ryback. But then as things go on, and after he sees the file, he understands. He kind of probably knows Ryback. And then you get Ryback at the end. He's like, "We know each other, don't we?" And Stranik's like, "Yep, been a long time." So I think they did a good job of trying to make it kind of like a misdirection a little bit, so that we didn't just dive right into like their past. But that's how I saw it anyway. I don't know how Jedi saw it, but that's how I saw it.
Kind of the same way you said it, because it's like it doesn't hit you in the face, but it's like just those words let you know it's like, yeah, they knew each other somehow.
Yeah, it was a good mystery because I kind of wanted to know the backstory about them, and it kind of didn't go there. It's like one of them things that they introduced in the movie, but it's never truly fully addressed. Where I wanted them to address it, you never know. Like, I'm thinking, did Ryback kill somebody that he knew? And if they had done something like that, he would have had true hatred for Ryback.
I look at it this way: if this movie is only like an hour and 43 minutes long, if they had delved into that, it would have been a little longer to kind of structure that story. But again, it's like it's a dumb action film, 90s film, so they don't want to dive too much into that. But although it's very entertaining, but as you mentioned before, has a serious tone to it too, because you have those little humorous anecdotes and it helps. But I mean, they could have done that, but I mean, at the same
Well,
time,
I think a part of it was they even tried to make it sound like these guys were actually respectful and liked you, because Ryback was like, "What made you flip like this, man?" Because he was basically at gunpoint at that point with Stranax, and he's just trying to like cope with what's going on and why Stranax flipped. And Stranax was like, "I just got tired of it. No faith," because that was the difference between the two of them. Because even Ryback's like, "We serve the same master," but Stranax just sees it from a whole different point of view. And but I think there was like this long-term mutual respect they may have had in the past, but now it's like different.
Sure.
Kind of, you know what it might remind me of, that conversation? Reminded me of the Dark Knight between the Joker and Batman. Like how the Joker's like, he talks about like how the world will turn and chaos will reign and all that, but then Batman's trying to see the good in everything, where he only sees the hate and the negative.
Yeah.
And I felt as if that was a conversation between the Batman by Heath Ledger and Batman, or Harvey Dent. Like it's like there's even that thing Harvey Dent says, the world, if you wait long enough, it'll see you turn into the villain.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like Stranax was in this. Like he was a good guy, and then he had seen too much pain, too much hate, and went, "Fuck it, I'm not going to play by the rules anymore, and I'm going to save myself and not."
And I'm not gonna say this is like that kind of mentality. It almost sounds like the devil when he was an angel becoming the devil, because he feels like, I don't want to be this anymore and blah blah blah, But I'm not gonna say it like that, because that you can easily misdirect that and saying that that's like everybody. But no, it
was when they teamed to assassinate him. That was the breaking point.
Yeah. So, but no, it's that's the thing though. I mean, it's that's why I say this is not. I mean, it's true enough. It's a film that is structured to just be a dumb popcorn flick, but it's more layered than that.
You know what that conversation reminded me more of than the Dark Knight scene? The scene in Magnum Force when Hal Holbrook's character is talking to him and they're talking about the system, and Clint Eastwood responds with, "You think I like the system? I hate the system, but until a better one comes along, this is all we got."
Yeah.
That's a good point.
But basically, what happens on that point, this is where you have Ryback is able to communicate to the room, to the officials in the boardroom, and say, "I'm on this ship. I'm one Navy SEAL against all these people. I know what they're up to. They're gonna, transport these weapons off the ship, and you put them in this career." And they were like, "Well, you've got to do everything in your power to stop them."
Yeah.
And this is also when the boardroom said they were going to send like a ship out to them with backup. And this is where you see that ship get blown up. And you also, that, like you said, that's where Krill decides he's going to kill the men. And Ryback knows he can't handle this on his own, so they manage to at least rescue, I think, 5 of the Navy SEAL officers. One of them who doesn't...
Various crew members, none of them were SEALs.
Yeah, they were just like engineers or mechanics, or
one of them was a gunner.
Yeah.
Gunner's mate.
Well, that comes into play later on in the film, though, the gunner. So what ends up happening later on is basically it's them against the rest of the men.
Yes.
And slowly they start taking down different people throughout the course of the movie. And this is when, the ship gets destroyed with the backup. It's now just down to Ryback, who's now going to rescue his men, stop Krill, Stranax. But then the more he interferes with their plans, you could see the more unhinged they become, and the more desperate they become, and more frustrated they become. Like right at the beginning, Tommy Lee Jones's Stranax is very like cold, he's got like this dark humor about it. But then you see that moment, for example, where Krill's now, the sub's now arrived. He's now loading the tomahawks onto the sub, and he's like got his captain's hat on, and he's acting like, he's gonna get away with it. And then the gunner, as we mentioned, he is able to take some of the charges that are still available and load them into the cannon and blast them at the sub.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's that particular moment with Tommy Lee Jones where he comes back down after basically, you don't think the sub's going to get blown up, but they managed to do it. And it's one of the best scenes. And I love that scene where Tommy Lee Jones just walks down onto the front and he walks out, and then the gun goes off and he gets thrown back.
Yes, a concussion, yes. And what's really funny is when Krill, he's on the sub and he sees one of the flares. He says, like, they don't have anything that can really hurt us. It's like, really? You were on the ship. You don't remember the gun, those barrels still having missiles on the damn thing? And when you see that one missile hit, I mean, not missile, but one of the missiles, hit the water. It's like, he's like, oh God, they're firing. It's like, you a such an idiot, dude. You cannot see that. You don't remember this?
What I like too is like when he damages the ship and he says he'll take care of it, and Tommy Lee Jones goes to do something. He has like, what are you doing? Going to make Honolulu glow in the dark.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, I kind of got the sense that had this succeeded, Strannik would have just put a bullet in Krill's head.
I do.
Maybe
I think he would have double crossed him.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think Krill was so disillusioned with power and all that. Strannik was the stronger villain. He was the smarter of the two.
Oh, of course. You could see it when he was like, he doesn't care about the ship. He doesn't care about a position, because he tells Krill, it's like, he says, Krill, it's your ship. Do what you want with it. Like, he doesn't even give a fuck. He's like, he knows Krill is only thinking short-sighted. He's looking at the bigger picture.
Right.
He is, like I said, he's like the Joker. He wants to see the world burn. And that's the sense I got from him. And it's like you say, because of his situation, Krill, he's so deluded with wanting power, and if he's not going to be able to get it the way he wants, he's just going to take it away. What you call it, Strannik's motivations are a lot darker.
Mm-hmm.
Like you say, he says, I got sick of playing by the rules. I got sick of just following everybody. I'm doing things on my own terms.
And I'm gonna throw out something that's gonna seem like a very wild thought process. We keep mentioning the Dark Knight, the Joker in that film. What if this movie parallels or exists in the same universe as the Dark Knight, and the Joker is actually the son or lost son of Strannik? That would be such a mind-blowing thought process. I mean, I'm just saying, because if he has that same mentality as Strannik, it's like, that's almost like a.
I don't know. I don't know if Strannik is quite as crazy as we were led to believe. Like I said, he tries to persuade that group in that phone call with the corporals and all them.
Yeah.
And when he's talking to his former employer, when he gets off the phone, the employer's like, he's lost it, he's gone. But then you can hear Strannik, laughing about it on the ship, like, oh, they think I'm fucking crazy.
Right.
I see Strannik more as like almost like more of a demented Hans Gruber than I would say.
I got the sense that the crazy was more of just an act.
Yeah,
I was thinking that he's deliberately, when he's talking to them in the boardroom, and why he's doing what he's deliberately trying to come across one way, which is crazy and under control. So they're under, but he's smart. He's like, they think I've lost my mind, but I'm not crazy. And he's, and then as soon as he hangs up on them, he goes from like acting like delusional to like just being very cold and straightforward.
And I like that everything that happens, because the plot and screen. So again, Every time you think that maybe Ryback's going to win a position, a particular position, so like when the strike team is starting to come to the ship, you're thinking, oh, they're in good shape. You know, there ain't nothing that happened. But because the system is shut down on the ship, they make the alternative and they get the guys on the sub to use the rocket launcher to take out the helicopter. I think that's brilliant. Like, I did not see that coming.
Me neither.
No. Yeah, well, yeah, it's very like how they did certain things with the weaponry on the ship when you think the ship's totally like being decommissioned and everything's switched off. They find other ways to cause chaos.
Yeah,
and it's done in such a smart, inventive way that, like you said, when the rocket hit the helicopter, you were like, how the hell did they come up with that idea? Who was the brains? Who would have thought of that?
yeah.
You know.
And I didn't realize that it was 2 helicopters they blew out of the sky too. I mean, I've watched it so many times. I didn't realize it was two payload, 2 gunships that were flying into there. I was like, I didn't realize it was 2.
Which makes you kind of laugh because of all the things that they were able to kind of like, maneuver around because of whenever the system went down, they found a way to get the sub to get involved. It's like somehow they forgot about the shells of the big guns. Nobody thought about the shells for those. Like, Seagal was like, hey, gunner's mate, we got shells for those.
I think it was more a case of just the fact that they didn't think enough people would be able to get loose to use them because
that's true.
Firing those was a team operation. One man can't do it solo.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's true.
But I had a teacher who was a Navy man, and he did mention that a lot of people not a lot, but it wasn't unheard of. Like, you could get killed loading those shells.
Oh yeah,
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And the back shot as well. So
And this was a more advanced one, like the technology they would have had during World War II to load those shells. There were sailors that got crushed to death by the machinery.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, I can imagine.
Definitely.
They're heavy.
So, Anthony Jordan, you want to finish the story and take her home with this?
Well, after they shoot it down, they get to the point where the Tomahawk missiles are launched, and Ryback goes to the bridge and he sees some of the stuff's been destroyed, and Tommy Lee Jones comes out with the gun. He's like, I got the kill codes right here, and puts it in his back pocket. Then you have that admittedly great scene of discussion between the two of them about how messed up things is, and he's like, I get it. You and me, we serve the same master, and he's ungrateful. And that's when you get the great line, yeah, but the difference between me and you is we have faith in Steven Seagal kicks the gun out of his hand. And I kind of feel like at that point it was always going to come down. Strennick was always just going to let it come down to hand because I just can't see, after everything he put Strennick through, I can't see Strennick just being satisfied shooting. Yeah. And you get a fun little knife fight, which wouldn't be Tommy Lee Jones' last one on screen. Mm-hmm. That, again,
true,
just fun, and it was right before Steven Seagal's ego ran away with him, so it wasn't as over the top and one-sided as it would have been in a later film. And he kills him. They enter the codes and destroy the nukes, and the film just wraps up nicely, like you would expect a film like this one to do.
Yeah. Speaking of the night fight, there was certain scenes with Tommy Lee Jones where you could tell that it switched camera angles and it was a professional, doing the choreography in the fight. But there were other elements where it turned and you did see Tommy Lee Jones and he was actually doing the fighting. So imagine the work he put in to learn the choreography, especially to go against Steven Seagal, who's, a trained, knife fighter. So I give Tommy Lee Jones respect that he actually did his best to deliver in that fight, and I have to say it's one of the best deaths I've seen in a film. Like,
I can honestly wonder if this film was the reason he got cast in the movie Hunted.
Maybe,
So I just look. I could watch that over and over. Like it was brutal.
And interesting, Ryback says like, keep the faith, Stranix. You know, you gotta have the one-liner. You know,
it was brutal, but and then I like how right at the end, when all's said and done, obviously the captain who died at the beginning of the movie, the captain. How it's like his funeral on the ship, and then you've got Ryback showing him the ultimate respect in his Navy gear, and all of the crew are just there, and even she's there, and you know she's standing there. And she gives him a look like she knows how important this is to him.
Yeah,
to show the respect and what he's been through previously, even before the events of the film when he lost his position. Was brought on the ship. Basically, that captain saved his life because they could have kicked him out of the Navy. They could have kicked him out of, Well,
I also got sort of an impression that when you hear the captain speak of him to Krill, because Krill's like, I don't understand, like, why you put up with this guy. He's like, you just don't understand, Krill. And so either he saved the captain's life at some point, or he saved somebody in his life. Like you can tell there's like a friendship there, but they have to keep it professional because of their ranks.
Yeah, the captain basically kept him on as the cook so he could keep his pension from the Navy.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, this could have been a series much like the Die Hard series if Seagal had played his cards right, because I like Dark Territory. I like that film as well. And I like that even some of the villains in that know who Ryback is once they figure out that he's on that train. So the fact that like it's sort of like McClane whenever his name gets brought up in the later films, are like, wait, John McClane, like Nakatomi Plaza John McClane.
Yeah.
So I like that thing that happens with that. So I'm just kind of surprised that Seagal kind of got too big of his ego and didn't want to keep up with this Ryback character, because I thought it was a good series.
Sure.
Yeah, and another thing with the captain and Ryback's character, it reminds me of the relationship between Rambo and the commander. Like how he always stood by him and protected him. Like even in the first one, when the cops are, he goes, "You don't know who you're messing with. You're basically fucked."
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not here to save him from you.
I'm here to save you from him.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's kind of the relationship. So see, in a parallel universe, that hadn't killed the captain. Say they just injured him or locked him up and kidnapped. They could have done Dark Territory, and then if Thingy had lost his mind and they could have done a third one where they brought the captain back in and he's got to save him again or something, or he got killed in the third one and he goes to revenge his death. That would have been an interesting one. But yes, Under Siege is still a fun film. My personal thoughts on it, it's one of Steven Seagal's best, but it's not just because it's a Seagal movie. It generally is just a good movie. It's a great 90s action flick. The acting's great. The story's compelling. And I love the cast. Tommy Lee Jones, for back then, he did a fantastic job as a Colville, and Gary Busey is just amazing. And one more time for the boys.
Yes. Let me guess.
It's a party.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Smack it.
Oh my God, yes.
So I enjoy this. All other Steven Seagal films, like I know you've asked me to do a review on your channel Jedi Grandma, of Executive Decision with Kurt Russell and Seagal.
Right.
Well, I'm looking forward to looking into that film. I've only seen that film I think once, and my recollection is I did enjoy it for what I remember.
You'll be surprised when
it was the first 5 minutes. That's the only problem.
Look, like that's why I say. I mean that because I guarantee you don't know where it's going, but when it happens, it's like, wow, that happened. So I was like,
yeah, because they totally sold you on the idea that Seagal would be a bigger factor in that film.
And apparently all that happened because of behind the scenes ego issues with him that they made him a much smaller part.
Mm.
Yeah, well,
But
we aren't going to say he's the smartest guy in the world.
I think after this one, I'd say his second best movie would have been Marked for Death, and that's a lot of that's because there was a nice twist with the villain at the end.
Mhm.
what's that? What's that film he did? I don't know if you've already mentioned the name. I kind of think the one where he's like on the Native American land.
That's a
and
good
then
one too. That's probably like the last one that I like from him, really.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah, I
can't
know.
remember the name, but then you've got the locals, and one of them's a complete fucking nut job, and it's like the chemical, isn't it? It's like a
Yeah,
like
because you have Michael Caine in there, and you've got
Joan Chen.
John. It's not John Riley, but there's a John McGinley. I think he's a really good actor. He was in Surviving the Game. Like he's a really, really good actor. I like him.
On Deadly Ground, that's what it's called.
That's it. Yep, On Deadly Ground.
What's
That's
it on Deadly Ground? See, I like that film. I wouldn't mind looking into that film as well. Deadly Ground.
I don't see why we can't.
Hard to
Yeah,
Kill is
so-
good. Above the Law is good. I like those films.
Yeah.
Oh, even Out for Justice. That's an amazing film.
Oh yes, Alpha. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Mhm. Yeah. So, my good friend, my co-host, Mr. DJ Anubis, your overall thoughts and ratings for Under Siege?
Still love the film. Again, everything from the writing to the way that the plot unravels and is executed is perfect. The acting is great from all involved. Like we even said, the one guy who plays the little curly hair guy, he didn't have like a massive part, but when he's on screen, he's memorable. You always remember him. And Erica, you gotta like that too. But yeah, it's just a really good film. It is definitely one of Seagal's best, especially in terms of writing. Like it's stronger. The other films are kind of like your early Schwarzenegger, where it's just kind of like shoot 'em up stuff. But this one at least put a little bit of thought into it in terms of a little bit of emotion and stuff like that. So for me, it's still a 10 out of 10, easy.
Nice. Jedi Granville.
Well, I mean, hey, you gotta look. At least there is going to be one gem out of the crud that Steven Seagal did, and most of his good stuff are from the late 80s, early 90s. That was his best work. I mean, he had some stragglers along the way. I got to be honest with you. I actually like Exit Wounds pretty much. I mean, this was an early 2000 film. I mean, it's not as bad, but it's still egotistical, as you can tell in the film. But no, the overall storyline, and I wish this film was a little longer, to be honest with you. I wish it was, because we could have explored certain aspects of certain characters, because that's one thing I love about this film is that there's a strong character storyline going on, and I feel like that's the reason why it works so well. So for me, I would have to give it a probably not as high as News, but I'll give it a 9.5.
Right. Anthony Jordan.
Overall, a very fun film, great cast, good pacing, just good characters, especially Tommy Lee Jones and Gary Busey chewing up the scenery. And I was glad to see this again because it's been a long time since I've watched it the last time. So I'll give it about a 8 out of 10. Very just fun early 90s action film.
Yeah. Well, I pretty much said what I wanted to say. It's a great film. It's a 90s classic. It's got great acting, compelling story, an amazing cast. And like you, Anthony, I hadn't seen this for a good few years, so revisiting this was a pleasant surprise. I actually laughed out loud a couple of times at some of the one-liners. I even laughed out loud when Tommy Lee Jones flew across the ship. I don't know why. I was giggling. I couldn't.
To me, that still seems like such a surprise when I saw it. It's like, damn, he got knocked back hard, But it's like, yeah.
But I'm pretty much the same as Anthony Jordan, 8 out of 10 for Under Siege. And Big Bad Wolf has put, listen, just because Seagal was in some decent films, in the height of his kick doesn't mean he was a smart guy. Well, clearly, if he was a smart guy, Big Bad Wolf, his career would still be going today. But never mind. But before we wrap things up, Mr. DJ Anubis, what is coming to the Metal Tavern Radio?
As far as next week is concerned, on Tuesday, I get with Rick Myers for Action Felt Autopsy. I'll be hosting it again this month, as Samurai isn't available to do that, but I'll be helping out Samurai with that. Then on Thursday, I'm getting with Mr. Jordan there for the next Ghouls of Midnight, as we do Behind the Mask, which is his pick for the Ghouls of Midnight this month. And then Friday is the Cinematic Synergy, and I actually have Anthony on that, as well as Big Bad Wolf, and of course my co-host Kevin Lambert as my pick of The Relic.
Yes.
We go to review that, which I just got done watching that again last night, so I'm all set for that. And then on Saturday next week, I'm joining up again with Olvin as we do a review of Cat's Eye.
Cat's Eye, yes.
That's right. Pure 80s, Steve 80s joy.
So, right, that is on the 30th. Is that not right? Is that right? The 30th?
Yep.
Well, Mr. DJ Lewis, we are meant to be on the 30th, meant to be doing at 10 p.m. the Hellboy special as well on our channel.
I think that's at 5 my time, I think. So
yes, so pretty much that's all I've got planned on the entertainment headquarters next week is the Hellboy special, where we're going to be reviewing all the live action Hellboy movies, which that's going to be an intriguing discussion. There's some good things, there's some bad things, but I'm a huge Hellboy fan. So that is next Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific time and then 10 p.m. UK time. So that's what's coming up on the entertainment headquarters next week. But Mr. Jedi Granville, what is coming up on your channel?
Well, tomorrow, me and Anubis will be discussing the 35th anniversary, or kind of a retrospect of a Ridley Scott, very underrated film. I don't think we get talked about for some reason, but Thelma and Louise. I figured it's a film that needs to be kind of broken down and talked about a little bit, because there's more to it than just women taking charge of their lives, blah, blah, blah. It's something more to it than that underlying tone in that. And coming June the 6th, I got some things rolling out. On the 6th, I will be doing a top 10, favorite monster sound effects, which is basically saying what's your favorite monster roar minus Godzilla, because we already know Godzilla would probably be at the top of that list, but through Japanese, Western, anywhere, what is a sound effect of or roar of an animal that you really like that gets you really hyped up when you hear it? So that's going to
Godzuki.
Yes, there you go. Godzuki is definitely one of those. And that following Sunday after that, on the 7th, me and Mr. Kevin Lambert will be discussing another Steven Seagal film. Executive Decision, something that I think not a lot of people talk about. That for some reason that film doesn't get talked about that much. For some reason, I guess it's just very low key. But I feel it's a decent film. It's more adventurous than action. I mean, it's got action, but it's more adventurous in my mind. So that and I have to mention this. That following Sunday, I think it's the Sunday after that, I will be teaming up with Mr. Mr. Seagal, or as event talking about Runaway, 1984. Yes, nice. Tom Selleck and Gene Simmons. It's free on YouTube if anyone want to watch it, but that is something that I want to talk about.
I remember that. That was a fun film.
Yes.
So Specialized Bullets.
Yeah,
Yes,
I've just
especially-
remembered as well. I've just remembered tomorrow night at 10 p.m. live on the Entertainment Headquarters. Me and my new co-host of Television Chronicles, Mr. Jake Hall, and me are getting together to do our review of Fallen Skies, which was a television show that was produced by Steven Spielberg. And I chose that show because, of course, Disclosure Day is coming out in the month of June, and we are doing, in the month of June, the Steven Spielberg special. So I'm looking forward to that. But that also is coming to the Entertainment Headquarters tomorrow night at 10 p.m. UK time, 2 p.m. And Anthony Jordan, what is coming to your channel?
Well, as Dude DJ Anubis mentioned, Thursday, Ghouls of Midnight, Behind the Mask, and Friday we're doing The Relic. I'm planning on doing my Return of Godzilla. My Godzilla 1985 review, but I'm gonna wait till after I get those two things done.
Nice.
Because it is a little bit for me, at least a different of an animal. I can record the movie, instantly talk about it, and it's different when I have to watch the movie and sit on it. So I just want to get the review, the two appearances with DJ Anubis out of the way first.
Nice. Looking forward to it. But anyway, this has been the Retro Classic Movie Show. Steven Seagal and Under Siege was Anubis's pick. So I have got my pick ready for next month, and we are going to be talking about The Abyss.
Yes.
I want to be on that.
I was going to say, I want to be part of
1989.
that one. Yes.
Well, yous are both more than welcome to join me and DJ Anubis again on the Retro Classic Movie Show. More the merrier, more conversations, more great thoughts and opinions on classic movies, because that is what the Retro Classic Movie Show is all about. But to my amazing co-host, Mr. DJ Anubis, thank you so much for joining me again. Thank you, Gojira851. Thank you for watching and joining us tonight. And of course, our two amazing guests, Mr. Jedi Granville and Mr. Anthony Jordan. So I'm only going to wrap this up with one thing, and that is a bit of ass.
Oh, hey. That is the end of it. So, yeah, it makes sense.
Yes. But as I always say, keep on enjoying your movies, keep on enjoying all things entertainment, and we'll catch us all at the next one. Take care.
Yes, sir.